Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to review the 2018 horror anthology film American Nightmares. A film that stars primarily Danny Trejo, is the most recognisable face in here anyway. However, throughout these 8 stories there are a number of faces and actors that you will recognise from all kinds of different film and TV. Now, I'm a fan of anthology films. Generally speaking, I find them nice and easy to watch. Sometimes there's not so very good stories, sometimes there's some brilliant ones, but I find them really good. You know, they're good for the attention span. You can just chill out and watch them, and they're quite easy to review as well because you just talk about each segment. So I'm always interested in anthology films. Now, what do we get with this anthology film? Well, we get 8 stories in this anthology film, and like a wraparound story. And this anthology film, focuses on Danny Trejo's character, who apparently is called Mr. Malevolent, who hacks into a couple of hackers, who are basically these 2 teenage lads are hacking people, filming them and then blackmailing them, and then out of the blue Danny Trejo's character hacks into them and forces them to watch a number of horror stories. So the first story is called Mates, and this is about a woman who is desperate to find the perfect man. She's just come out of an abusive relationship, and she is pointed in the direction of this dating company that promises to give you a date with the perfect partner. Types in her ideal man, and lo and behold he turns up, but it is not as it seems. I didn't particularly like this one. I thought it was pretty stupid, if I'm honest, but not terrible, but yeah, not great either, this one. The second one was called The Prosecutor, and it starred Jay Moore, actually, who, whatever happened to him? Well, he's in this film, and he plays a corrupt lawyer, or corrupt public prosecutor, who ended up putting an innocent man in jail, and that eventually comes back to bite him in the ass later on in the film, unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you look at it. Again, I didn't mind this one, but you could see what was going to happen in this film, in this segment, a mile away, definitely. The next one was called White Flight, and it's focused on an extremely racist ex-cop who, to get out of the world, he's had enough, you know, because, you know, everybody's too tolerant towards blacks and Mexicans, all this kind of stuff. He's incredibly racist, awful character, and he orders a dimension travelling machine through the post, by the way, sets it up, and his lovely wife and children end up dimension travelling to another dimension in the hopes of finding a dimension that is more in thinking with him. However, he gets a surprise when he gets there. This one was absolutely stupid. I genuinely didn't know what to make of this. Everyone had these stupid white blonde wigs on as well. It was really odd. The next one was called The Samaritan. This one was my favourite up to a point, and it focused on a guy, a really, really seriously sick man. You could see he's like walking around with oxygen, coughing everywhere, who basically orders a prostitute, and this prostitute turns up with her pimp, and he kindly explains his fetish, which is clown related, and this one goes weird very, very quick, guys. It really does. It really freaked me out. It got very weird. The next one was called Hate Radio, focused on a talk radio presenter that was seriously sexist and unpleasant, and it has an unexpected sex change, shall we say, in this segment. So it kind of has the tables turned on him as well, which we're seeing a pattern here with these stories. The next one was called The Healer, who was one of these evangelist con artists you see all over the place, conning people into thinking he can heal them with his healing hands. And again, one of the people is conned, kind of gets his revenge on him. Well, he does get his revenge on him in quite a sinister way by the end of this segment. Again, this was okay. And the final one was called Thy Will Be Done, and it was focused on a pregnant woman who was raped by a very unpleasant thing, as she describes it. She wants to obviously have an abortion. She's getting all that arranged, and she gets kidnapped by 3 do-gooders who force her and tie her down and force her to have this child because they don't believe in abortion. So they force feed her for 9 months, etc., until this child is born. And when the child is eventually born, it clearly isn't what they expected. Or me, to be honest, to a certain degree. And then we have the wraparound story where these hackers who have been hacked into by Danny Trejo get their comeuppance as well. So, that is American Nightmares, guy. I've got to say, I thought this as an anthology film was pretty bang average. Every story was pretty bang average, and every story was almost a retelling of each other. It was almost a case of, this is a nasty person, let's hold the mirror up, let's turn the tables on them and you know, make their life a misery. And that was almost the same pattern for each story. And it got a bit dull by the end, if I'm honest. Almost watching the same story with different actors over and over again. And when you look at some of the actors that are in this, I think they could have done a lot more with this, to be honest. It just seemed pretty a paint-by-numbers anthology film. You know, no standout ones, no terribly rubbish ones, but, you know, nothing that really grasped you either. So I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 10, guys. I wasn't overly impressed with this as an anthology film. But, you know, if you're a fan of anthology films, there might be quite a bit here for you to enjoy. So I hope you enjoyed this review, guys. I shall see you next time on Screen Stars.